Do you feel like you're stuck? Do you feel like you're going through hell right now? Or do you feel like you're watching someone else go through hell? We have to look at the Bible story. Jesus calms the storm. You see, the apostles and the disciples, they were out for days healing and teaching and casting demons out of people. They were probably super exhausted. And I imagine they were probably exhausted enough to be like, I need a break, Jesus. So in order to leave the multitude or the place they were in, they had to get on a boat and cross the lake. And here's the thing, Jesus is the one who initiates it. He says, let us go over to the other side. So he's the one who's initiating it, and he might be initiating it on you. So the apostles hop in the boat, they start rowing across the water, and they're feeling good. They're like, oh, we're finally leaving that place we were in. But then a squall hits. Now the storm is chaotic. Waves are huge, wind is gusting, and Jesus is asleep. So of course they're panicking, and they look at Jesus and they're like, where are you? Get up, we need you. They said, teacher, don't you care if we drown? I can't throw stones at them. Absolutely have I seen points in my life where I panicked, looked at Jesus and said, where are you? I know I lacked faith in times when I needed it. But Jesus, being as gracious as he is, he got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, quiet, be still. Hold on, you got wind and you got the waves, and he's addressing them both, but differently. You know, for the wind, it doesn't say he said a word. He just rebuked it. Who knows? That probably was super majestic. But the waves, he said, quiet, be still. Waves are an effect from the wind. So he addresses the problem, which is the wind, and then he calms the rest of it, the actual destruction of the wind. And then it got completely calm. So they went from a place where they wanted to get away from it. They get on the water where it's calm, and then a storm hits, and then Jesus calms it again. Seems like a bit of a roller coaster. But Jesus turns to them and says, why are you so afraid? Do you still not have faith? I know Jesus questioned to me that same question. Then the apostles said, wow, who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him. They still couldn't grasp who he was. Well, here's the crazy part. They get across the water, they get to the other side, and they run into a man there. This man nobody could bind. He was screaming and crying in the mountains, cutting himself with stones. They had him chained at the wrist and at the ankles with iron plates, and he broke them all. His name was Legion, and unfortunately he was possessed. And he terrified everybody, but Jesus knew he had to get there. So now these apostles, after leaving where they were because they wanted to get away from that, they get on the water, they hit more storm, even bigger, which is scarier, and now they're across the other way and they're looking at somebody else who's going through even more terror. Now he rebukes the spirit, rips it out of this man, puts in a bunch of pigs go and die. We understand that story. But now we need to look at what takes place right after that. Jesus tells him to go home, tell everybody he knows about how much God has had mercy on him and how he freed him from those demons. Have mercy on him? See, this tells me that this guy possibly had some serious baggage. He probably had a lot of sin, and therefore the demon was able to attach himself to him. But here's the thing. That man was healed, and then he goes and shares his testimony. And maybe you're that person right now, and you're suffering. You feel like Jesus needs to get whatever it is that's against you or on you off, get it out of you. But just remember, it might be for a really powerful testimony. I don't know who I'm speaking to right now. It could be the person who's stuck, who feels like they need a change in their life. I could be talking to the person who's on that boat, who's in the middle of a squall. And I could also be talking to the person who is been punished so much by their own sin that they're stuck and they don't know how to get out of it. Regardless of where you are, Jesus is in every single one of those pieces of that story, and he will get you out of it. You just have to remember that when you want to leave one spot in your life because you're tired of it, it doesn't always mean it's going to be sunshine and rainbows right after. You might have to go through a really tough storm to get out of that place you were in. And then even then, you might have to get to the other side and realize that your problems, as bad as they were, there's always worse. Somebody might be suffering that needs you, So survive the storm. You got this. Wherever you're at in your story, you got this. Just count on Jesus to be the one to end it all. So Get on the boat, and after Jesus calms the wind, give him a minute to calm the waves, the aftermath. And just remember, if you see someone suffering, be there for them. Be there for them. Even if it is their own sin that caused them to get to that point. So get in the book of Mark. I'm telling you, it'll change your life.